Cross-country flight scenario. Trip. I visited SkyVector to calculate the distance between the airport and the stopping for the refueling points. Flight is routed to avoid restricted airspace for military training. The Garmin 340 GPS. This is
430.
this is an older. The Garmin 430 GPS is an older unit, but as many GPS systems, they're relatively the same. You could just press the same controls like you would on a G1000 and set up your GPS flight plan in the cockpit. Aircraft maintenance. You want to make sure that so in the scenario that I was given, um, the magneto switch had a malfunction and the spark plugs were changed out. So what you want to do is every time you get in the aircraft and you start it up before you do your takeoff at your pre-run up before whatever runway you go to, you want to make sure that you engage the RPM to 1800 RPMs, then do left and right magneto to make sure that it's within the correct amount of when it idles down. Now you also want to check for your oil pressure, your vacuum, and your oil temp. Abort flight if aircraft does not operate as it should. Environment. So the aircraft, this model of Cessna 172, does have a carburetor heat, and relative humidity is really high, and it's 90 degrees. So what we do know is that anywhere from 20 degrees Celsius in high humidity or 70 degrees Fahrenheit in high humidity, the possibility of carburetor ice is able to be present. So what you want to do is apply carb heat if this does happen. What it will do is decrease your RPM and then increase your RPM while also making your fuel ratio rich, which will decrease your aircraft's performance. We are getting a crosswind of 14 knots and a gust of 20. So the maximum amount for Cessna given is like around 15 to 20. So we're pretty much cutting it close. So you're going to want to verify that you're not going over, because since it's so close, the weather change could be pretty randomly, especially around like Virginia and North Carolina areas. If it reaches any higher, you have to abort the flight because you don't want to cause damage to the aircraft and potentially put yourself in harm. The departure for the runway is shorter. All you want to do is make sure you get the best climb rate when you take off. As y'all know, it's 54, 55, 56. Refueling. The halfway point, the departure flight is Halifax Regional Airport. This is where I chose. It's about 37 minutes from the North Carolina point where we take off. The service fueling is offered at this airport and could also be used for the return trip when you go to Lynchburg and back. Stress factors. As expected, it's expected to be dark at the time of return. There is a cold front expected to come. Potentially could bring storms. You could also stay at a hotel that's near the Halifax Regional Airport. I believe it's the Hampton Inn. You'll want to make sure that you are safe when traveling, especially because when the cold front comes in, it could possibly bring thunderstorms near you. And since this scenario is in the summertime, July time frame, and the temperature is 90, and the cold front will come, it'll possibly cause a storm. So you want to avoid that storm because it'll be detrimental to your hazard or to your safety during flight. Now, what you could do is you stay overnight at this hotel, and you fly the next day. I mean, a couple $100 extra is worth it rather than risking your life than flying during a storm. How long did I get?
You're at 5 minutes and 23 seconds.
All right.